Hello and welcome for the third time to the Nsmba AGM. The first time we muted, the second time we had some technical difficulties there. It is 2020, so that all seems pretty in keeping with the times. It's a little different this year, obviously. We're very sad that we couldn't join you all in person, but we're here. We've got Liam and Andy behind the scenes making us all look like professionals, which is great. So big thanks to them for helping us out here at Montgomery Sound, and really just looking forward to an AGM here. There's going to be some interactive bits, so if you've got Slido, you can open that up on your phone. There'll be a QR code or a web link that you can see a little bit later here that'll help, or if you open up on the website, it's down below the video there. So with that, I'll start it off with a couple little videos here, and looking forward to participation, fun, action, adventure, and some videos.
Nsmba member because it's the least I can do to support the trails.
Being a member, to me, it just makes me feel a part of a bigger community and giving back to a place that I kind of cherish.
One of the best ways to give back to a sport that I love so much.
I live here on the shore, and the Nsmba does a lot of work on the shore, and it's kind of a no-brainer for me.
I've been riding the shore for about 25 years. I use the trails 2 to 3 times a week, and I think it's kind of like my duty to give back to the association that provides us the trails that I have fun on.
I'm an Nsmba member to support the trails. That means so much to me, and just enjoying the trails, making sure that they're well maintained and built to today's standards and built sustainably.
The trails are an invaluable resource for this part of the world, and I moved all the way from the UK to ride the trails here.
I mean, it's important to get back to the trails and have awesome events like this. I'm from Ontario, and the trails are the reason I'm here. So yeah, I mean, it's mountain biking on the North Shore. I mean, without these trails, we give up a lot.
And we get to come out to amazing events like the Fiver and get to ride and represent the female population of mountain bikers.
The trails are so important to me because this is my passion. This is what I do with all the free time I have. And I've seen what it's like if nothing gets done to the trails. The work that the Nsmba has done has helped make the trails run really well, and it just makes my enjoyment of the trails even stronger.
Mountain biking is such a big part of my life and always has been since I was in university, and I don't know what I would do without mountain bike trails. Being on the board of directors is a lot of work sometimes, and there's a lot of stuff behind the scenes that feels tedious when we don't feel like we have community support. And when we see those membership numbers increasing steadily month after month, it's that reminder to us that the community believes in the work that we're doing.
I advise you to get your Nsmba membership and keep the trails smooth and open and expanding, and have fun. Support your local trail advocacy group.
If you consider yourself right on the shore, definitely get one. It's your
and
way
if
to
you're
give
just
back.
a visitor, get the trail pass.
Get your Nsmba membership today and help support the trails.
Get your Nsmba membership today.
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 Get your Nsmba membership today! Woo!
Right on. So some of you have probably seen that before, but without further ado, we'll kind of use that to kick things off there. And as a bit of an icebreaker, we'll hand it over to Christine here to talk you through Slido a little bit and a couple of quiz questions. Unfortunately, there are no prizes. She's muted.
Hi, everyone. My first online AGM. But to prepare for our first online version of this AGM, we knew we needed to find a fun and easy way for you folks to interact and participate with us. So tonight we're using Slido. You can log on your phone. You can, if you're watching the live stream on our website, you can scroll down using the event code NSMBA. And so just to get us comfortable and warmed up, we have a few quizzes for you. So the first here is, who has been the NSMBA's longest running sponsor?
And
Pay
Christine,
attention
if you
here.
don't mind, we can go back and show that QR code just for a little longer. I don't know if people had enough time to grab it.
All right, if you haven't grabbed this QR code or logged into Slido, we're just going to show it to you for a little bit longer here. But I have started the first quiz question, which is, who has been the NSMBA's longest running sponsor? This is the longest one, those who have been around. Who has been the longest running sponsor? Ooh, I see all of your answers coming in. We got 34 people, 39 people. Wow, 46. Got 15 more seconds if you want to participate. Quiz time, quiz time. We've got some almost answers. I'm very interested to see. Here we go. Here are the results. So looks like people thought Cove Bikes, MEC, Steed Cycles, North Shore Bike Shop, and the correct answer is MEC. MEC has been a sponsor before we even started our trail adoption program. Right, quiz question number 2. Who has been the NSMBA's longest, who is the NSMBA's first ever sponsor? So who was NSMBA's first ever sponsor? Was it Raceface, Arterix, Roach, or Nolly? Your answers are coming in. Who was it? Raceface, Arterix, Roach, or Nolly are the NSMBA's first ever sponsor. You have 6 more seconds, 5. The results are coming in. And the correct answer was Roach. Ingrid was the first from Roach to ever step up and support the NSMBA with her business, thanks to Ingrid. And the leaderboard. Looks like we've got lots of folks helping us and hanging out with us tonight. Thank you. And last but not least, I'm behind in the slides. I'm so sorry. This is super fun. The last question is, what is the newest trail on Seymour? What is the newest trail on Seymour, folks? Is it Fern Gully, Penny Lane, or Good Sir Martin? Behind the scenes, I am doing Slido and changing the slides. It's super fun. So getting your interaction is amazing. What is our newest trail on Seymour? Is it Fern Gully, Penny Lane, or Good Sir Martin? We have 86 people responding. This is amazing. And the answer is Fern Gully. Fern Gully, if you're not familiar with it, is the first ever hiking only trail that the NSMBA has built. And it parallels the Empress Bypass, which has now become mountain bike only. And this allows hikers to climb back up over on Seymour. Thank you all for participating in that. And now that you're all warmed up, let's get into the nitty-gritty of the AGM. Over to Isabel.
Hey everyone, just before we get into the meat of the program today, we just want to start by acknowledging that the land on which we build, maintain, and recreate is the unceded territory of the Coast Salish peoples, including the territories of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh nations. We strongly encourage you to explore their websites, which we have up here on the screen now, so you can learn more about their histories, languages, and cultures. Thanks, back to you, Christine. Or Cooper. muted again, I believe.
Muted.
So with that, we have to get into the actual parts of the AGM. I'm getting really good at this mute thing, by the way. So looking at the agenda here, looks pretty standard as you can see. A couple of the other parts will be a little bit different, but itself, welcome here, which we've gotten almost done. We'll call it to order, go through the financials, go through what we've kind of accomplished. We'll importantly elect a new board of directors, announce the results from that. There'll be some new business and some Q&A and take your questions from the floor. There'll be a couple of the videos, fun things like that, community announcements as usual, and then we will adjourn. And unfortunately, the operator refreshments this year will be on Zoom. There will be a link for that, or sorry, not on Zoom, Google Meet. There'll be a link for that later on in the session here. So what is the AGM here? It's an opportunity for us to connect with the community, showcase what we've done, opportunity for you to ask us questions, and kind of really explain how it is we do how it is that we do what we do and work towards goals that hopefully you as members all share. I think it's really important that we work together as a community here, and then we can really succeed. And hopefully you see our goals as your goals, and that's to benefit the entire community from top to bottom, left to right, up to down. And with that, then I have a couple of words, which requires pulling up a separate screen here. Sorry, I have about 18 tabs running for this. So I think it's no secret that it's been a tough year for most people. That includes me, the Nsmba, and very likely some of you. And it's also no secret, I think, that people have taken to the hills and the trails in literal droves, basically, to maintain their mental health. And it's the great way to actually see your friends in a socially responsible and distant manner, and to keep your spirits up and, you know, work on keeping your resting heart rate down. This is certainly put a lot of pressure on the trails, trail associations like ours across the world, and work restrictions, financial challenges, and coupled with this increase in trail users have really left their mark, and some breaking bumps on the trails out there. I think we've done okay. It's been hard. We miss hanging out with you at events on and off the trails. The Nsmba is in good financial health at this point in time, which is great. And I think the trails are hanging in there thanks to the efforts of volunteers and trail crew alike. That includes independent trail builders as well as Nsmba trail builders and our trail crew. And our membership numbers, as you'll see, are up slightly. And unfortunately, one of the effects is that volunteer hours have taken an absolute thrashing this year due to that lack of events. The inability to have trail days or small trail days has been tough. And so I'd like to give a massive thank you to all the builders out there who are doing a lot of work by themselves this time, this round, trying to keep pace with all the new riders. And thanks to the trail crew as well for managing to make it work. I have pause for applause for the builders and trail crew in my notes here, but obviously we can't hear you, but certainly rapidly adapting to new challenges and never-changing regulations isn't always the strong suit of an organization operated largely by volunteers. It can be a little bit like herding kittens. Sometimes I feel like a kitten myself, but I'm confident in the position of the association as we head into an equally uncertain 2021. With our executive director, Christine, back and leading the charge on a strategic plan for the association. You'll hear more about that later. I'm excited to head into what I hope, should you choose to elect me later this evening, is my last year as the president of the association. It's awesome. I love it. There's more I want to accomplish, but it's also time for maybe a bit less volunteering in front of a computer for me and a bit more bike riding and building and family time, and hopefully passing the reins on to someone more qualified than myself. So with that, let's do this. 2021 AGM. Who's ready? Pause for applause.
Woo! Woo-hoo!
I'd like to give a big shout out to our staff. First off, our executive director, Christine Reed, who you've already seen in this presentation, our administrator, who deserves a better title, Ryan Pugh, who does a huge amount of the messaging and everything like that. If you've messaged InfoAct or Instagram or Facebook or ever had any kind of questions, it's probably Ryan that answered that. It's Ryan that organized your trail day in conjunction with the builders and the sponsors and all these kinds of things. And then our trail crew, who you see out there grinding away day to day, rain or shine, on Frome and Seymour. Joe Waiwitka, Todd Viender, some of you might know him as Digger, and Cable Holonko, all out there digging away. Also, so all of the people on this screen are volunteers, so they deserve your ever-loving, undying affection. myself excluded from that. Our treasurer, Laura Tacky, who we'll hear from shortly, done a spectacular job this year and is a big part of the reason we're in the financial position that we're in. Our secretary, Corey Brennan, has done a great job for the minutes and as well as a bunch of fun design with Morgan Mallet there in his joint role as secretary and directors of communication and design. Don Buck Halliday, ordinarily the lovely smiling face that you see out there in the tent, which you didn't get to see a lot of last year, unfortunately, but big thanks to Don. Isabel, who you met earlier, our director of youth, Brent Hillier, director at larges, Ken Coupland, Sarah Fix, Ben Lovey, Ben Organ, and Gavin Kennedy. They've all been great this year, figuring out how we're going to make this year work and figuring out what we can do and really pulling their weight. So looking forward to another year with some of them. And at the end here, we'll give another big round of applause to those that have given their time and are stepping down for very myriads of perfectly valid reasons. And we will see them out on the trails and share a ride together. So the rules of order this year are a little bit more complicated and annoying. So there's a comments section, as you've seen. You'll be asked to raise any questions or comments that you have in there. These will go through a moderator and we'll address them during a Q&A period at the end. So for formal questions, and then after the AGM, we'll have an Opera Zoom meeting as well. Sorry, I have lost my screen that shows me where we are. There we are. Yeah, why no, sorry everyone. There we go. So with that, one of the things we need to do is officially call the meeting to order. So if we could do that in the comments section. Christine, can you see those and let me know if we can get someone to raise a hand and move to call the meeting to order officially?
Ryan will be able to see. Ryan or Ben. Ryan or Ben? Cooper, let's just call it.
Okay, as chair, I'll call the meeting to order here at 6:20. We will be able to see via the registration how many members we have in attendance and how many guests. I will need an approval of the agenda. I see Dave Clenenden has called the meeting to order. Thank you, Dave. And then with that, I will also look for a motion to approve the 2019 AGM minutes as presented, or with any amendments should you see fit. So looking for a motion to approve these 2019 minutes, which you should be able to see on your screen. Last year we had Mr. Bardsley on top of that one and seconded by Gordon. Let's see who's on it this year. It's always familiar names.
Ken.
Ken?
Mm-hmm.
Ken, right on. And with that, voting on these things is a little bit harder, obviously, but if anyone has any objections, we'll do it basically by abstention. So any objections, please be noted. Otherwise, we will approve those as presented. And with that, I will pass it over to Laura Tacky for a financial report.
Thank you so much, Cooper. So I think we'll get the numbers up pretty shortly here. But what I wanted to do is just sort of set the stage, because for those of you that would have been at our AGM a year ago, we were painting a very different picture and telling a very different story. So to bring you back to the good times when we were all in person, the financials weren't necessarily in the good times. So we had just completed 3 years of investing a large surplus that we had accumulated. So, I mean, it was great in the sense that that was going back in the trails and we used the cash we had on hand. But we did have to make some adjustments in order to get back to a bit more of a stable position. You know, I had presented there the 3rd year of losses. And so now what you'll see is that we're back in the black, which is quite positive. And we had really shifted our strategy to, you know, trying to rebuild a bit of a surplus so that we could weather any potential storms and just make sure that we had funds available if we wanted to take on larger projects. So unfortunately, that had meant that we had to downsize our trail crew and operate with a bit of a leaner staffing model. But, it ended up working out tremendously well. Nobody could have anticipated COVID, but it was a strategy that helped us through a lot of that. And we've actually come out about $85,000 above what we had anticipated in terms of a surplus. So if we go to the next slide, I'll walk you through that in a bit more detail. Thank you. So on the income slide, we passed $500,000 of income for the first time ever. Woo! So thank you, everyone. This is definitely cause for celebration. I'm just going to try and get in the shot a bit more there. So let me walk you through some of the sources of funds there, and we tend to lump them together a bit because I know you guys don't want to spend all night on this. So governments we put into one line, and so that's, government. So in that category, we've got things like the DNV service agreement, which we drew $79,000 on this year, and so we'll probably take the rest of that $100,000 in these next couple months here because it runs on a calendar year. We're super grateful to them for renewing that, which is fantastic. And then, the biggest boost to our income was actually the Canada Emergency Wage Subsidy. So that was the one subsidy that we qualified for due to a decrease in revenues in their qualifying period. And so we were super fortunate. We've actually collected $65,000 through that program and been able to pay for our staff for much of this year. So that's been a pretty positive upside. When it came to TAP, things were down year over year as many of the hardest hit businesses had to understandably withdraw their sponsorship. And we probably expect to see that trend continue a bit into next year as well. Membership and trail passes down a little bit, which, was a bit surprising as we've had so many people on the trails this year. But, I understand that many are probably affected by this. And so, again, we'll see how that goes next year. On the membership sales, we were up slightly. And so what we started to do is look for some local sources of product to deliver and use because things got slowed down pretty badly for a bit there, with so much of it having to be shipped across the U.S. border and it taking forever. We also ventured into some really fun new ideas like dog tags, which were very popular. So I think we'll look for a bit more of that next year. And then obviously when it came to things like raffles, races, and events, they're in the same category, but we clearly didn't do very many races or events this year. So the huge success in there is really the Noli raffle, which we did, and which just blew us away in terms of how successful it was and totally exceeded expectations. And so that was a really positive boost and a huge thank you to everybody who helped us out with that. On the expenses side, as I mentioned, we did assign fewer contracts this year, so worked with a reduced size trail crew. And we also had them reduce their hours in December or January, which I know seems like a long time ago, but at that point, we actually did not have the funds to really carry anyone through those, peak kind of snowy months. And so they were, gracious to help us out with that. We also, if you may recall, had an interim director who left the city and the organization at the end of December. And so we're actually without an executive director until Christine returned in June. So, that was 6 months really of not paying somebody when we had expected to. And just a huge kudos to Joe and Ryan who really stepped up during this period. Because it would have obviously been really tough to find a 6-month interim ED. So all this to say that, our wages ended up being lower than anticipated during this time. Part of that, of course, was when we weren't allowed to be doing any trail work during the peak of COVID. There were just generally less hours than we had planned for. Same thing with tap days, which we couldn't start until into the summer. And then if you think of a lot of our other expenses, like trail days and food and beverage and mileage, all of it, again, reduced because of COVID. So That did allow us to hire a summer student, which was fantastic, and that's something we'll plan to do for next year as well. It's allowed us to complete the AMTB loop as a project, so using funds for that specifically and hiring a contractor for it. And then going into next year, I'm expecting to see a much smaller excess of revenues over expenses, provided that we can get our trail days back to normal and, we can be doing the work that we would normally expect to do. So I don't actually anticipate us hitting the $500,000 mark again. But the positive thing is we built this huge surplus up this year that was our goal. And so we've been able to achieve that and give ourselves a bit more flexibility for next year. So let's go to the next slide and have a look at the funding model. So the thing that you're looking for here is diversified streams of income, because obviously you don't want to be hit particularly hard if somebody decides not to renew funding for you, or like we've seen, some of the businesses that sponsor us have been impacted by the downturn. And so what you can see is that government was the biggest source of income, but within that, it's pretty well diversified, again, between DNV, the wage subsidy, and some other grants. So we will see that decrease a bit next year without the wage subsidy. But I think it's overall quite well balanced, and that's something that Nsmba has been working really hard to achieve over the past several years. So let's go, there we go. Lots of talking and some water. So what we've seen with the voice of the Nsmba is that the more members we have, the better. And the more people listen to us and the more we can say, hey, here's what our members want us to do. And that's actually like 2,500 people around the Lower Mainland, which is pretty incredible. So thank you, because that was super exciting to pass that threshold and to also see all of the trail boosts that we did. It allows us to reinvest in those trails and ensure that they're enjoyable for all of you. But if we go to the next slide. So what you can see is we've been growing quite rapidly over the last several years, but the amount of growth that we saw this year was actually, pretty small compared to prior years, and a bit surprising, to be honest, just given how many users there have been out on the trails. It's been pretty incredible. And so I think we've got a number of candidates that sort of expressed that they want to help increase that membership number, and we'd certainly like to see that too, and bring in ideas from the community. Obviously, everybody who's on the line today is sort of our most engaged members, if you've joined us for the AGM, but I think we could use a bit of help in making sure that we can grow this, and set some ambitious goals next year, like 3,000 plus members. So I've talked a lot, so I'm going to pass it over to you, Christine.
Thanks, Laura. So hi, everyone. It's my face. I'm back, the new girl, but not so new girl back in town. And I just wanted to take a moment to talk about how COVID has affected us all. Everyone has experienced some great uncertainty and stress and fear this year because of COVID. And it is without a doubt the reason many have turned to the trails for their mental health and for a release of the stress this pandemic has had on us all. The trails have been a cherished resource and a place for reprieve for us all. We've experienced significant increase in the trail usage, especially by local residences. And the Nsmba is built by passionate people who have all been affected by the pandemic in various ways. So we too are greatly changed and saw the shifts because of our new way of being. The pandemic has been both beautiful and terrifying, and there's more beautiful and terrifying things to come and will continue. But what I do know is that where there's passion and kindness and a space to find calm, that we will all prevail. In the early stages of the pandemic, when fear was at its highest, we were asked to stop work on the District of North Vancouver lands, and we focused our efforts on Seymour while keeping our trail crew safe. In July, we were able to return to hosting volunteer trail days with COVID safety protocols in place, including 6 volunteers or less. Folks started coming out, and we got to have trail days again. But due to the new restrictions recently ordered, we put our trail days on hold again. And it is of utmost importance to us that we keep our community and staff safe and continue to update and shift as the restrictions change. As soon as Bonnie orders that change, we will make it happen. We saw some sponsors being unable to fulfill their commitments, which we completely understood and appreciated. Those who were flourishing stepped up and got creative in finding ways to fill the gaps, and new grants became available. And we took advantage of all financial resources made available to nonprofits from both the federal and provincial governments. Just like everyone else, we're riding the wave of this pandemic and look forward to when we can ride, dig, and play in the forest in larger groups again. Until then, we are only a video chat or email away. We couldn't have done this year. We couldn't have done this year without our trail adoption program, and it was still a success. I would still say it was a success. The TAP program creates opportunities for our builders to be paid when they lead volunteer groups on the trails, as well as contributing to the health of our overall community by encouraging volunteership and environmental stewardship. This program was launched in 2011 and has helped to close the loop with the local industry getting more involved. These sponsors commit not only dollars and finances to the trails, but also volunteer effort, and can volunteer and contribute 2 to 6 trail days a year. And without them, we wouldn't be able to get as much work done as we do every year. These are our sponsors. Some of our sponsors have been with us from the beginning of this program in 2011, and others are brand new to the scene, and we appreciate them all and encourage you to support those that support the trails. When they succeed, we do too. There were a couple of cool things that came out of COVID that I did want to shout out a little bit to this year, and that was the creative fundraising of Coast Mountain with their virtual scavenger hunt, which also inspired some of our social badgers, which we'll chat about later, and they helped to raise the funds to contribute to their TAP sponsorship this year, and to Lululemon for working with us to design a t-shirt to fundraise for the trails. This t-shirt was designed by board member Corey Brennan, and here's a cool little video of his design process. Stay tuned for that on a t-shirt near you soon. Thank you so much to Corey for the amazing design, and for Lululemon for that creative way to fundraise for the trails. Our trail adoption program would not be able to be a success without the real trail heroes. Take a look at this list of names. They are the folks who are spending their personal time in the pouring rain, in the heat of the summer, and the cold of the winter to make sure that the trails are safe and sustainably maintained. Without them, we would not have the program that we do today. Everyone, please give these builders a virtual round of applause. When you see them out on the trails, please say hello, mind them working, and more importantly, thank them for their dedication to the trails. You are all so awesome. And we'd love for you to get to know one of our trail builders just a little bit more. So here's a special video.
I love the forest, I love being in it, and I get to hang out with a whole lot of my very best friends. Hi, I'm Morgan, and this is Mary, and this is Who the Huck? I'm Sarah Brazel. I'm one of the trail builders on Pennzoil. When I'm not trail building, I am an optometrist. I am the founder of iCraft Optometry. It's just down on Dollarton Highway. Today we are working on the new exit for Pennzoil. The old one's pretty eroded. It's all pretty much fall line and takes a lot of water down the mountain. And we're trying to make something a little more fun and a little more sustainable. We're going to close off the old line and renaturalize it afterwards.
Why the heck do you do this? Or why the heck do you do this? Sorry, we gotta do it again.
Giving back to the community is a big priority. I also kind of believe in trail karma, making things a little bit better, maintaining the trails. And also it's fun. I love the forest, I love being in it, and I get to hang out with a whole lot of my very best friends. Oh shit, I didn't do it right. Shut up, Gordon. You're ruining the shot. You're ruining the shot.
Very cool. I hope you got to know Sarah Brazel just a little bit more. And now I'm going to pass it over to Cooper to talk to you about the trail work that we've done here this past year.
Thanks, Christine. So we have managed to do some things this year. Believe it or not, despite nature and the world's best efforts. A couple of changes on Frome. A significant one you might see is the new exit onto Braemar there at the bottom of kind of Boundary and Dreamweaver and Lower Digger there, that area there. So the idea there was to change the alignment there so that hopefully no one plowed out onto Braemar and was killed by a car. So check that out, Little Machine Build. There's been some improvements to Bookwest. We really tried to keep that in keeping with the nature of the trail and replaced armoring that had been removed over the past few years just by Mother Nature. Lots of changes to Expresso, as you probably have seen. Lots of big new berms, one called the Vortex that you can probably recognize when you get there, and new bridges on 7th that are just old, tired, needed some replacement. There's obviously been a lot of other work out there, but those were kind of some of the bigger ones. On Seymour, as you have probably noticed on Boogie Nights, it's seen some pretty serious changes on that trail. It is definitely bigger, better, more aggressive in a lot of ways. So if you haven't been in there, check it out. But do always, with all of these things, check yourself before you wreck yourself. It's definitely a significantly different trail. Lots of good improvements to Bridle Path. That's been an ongoing project for the past few years. And then as well, some work to bridle as part of the AMTB project. There's been a significant reroute on Pangor, and then a bunch of kind of work and reroutes, new corners, drainage work, and good improvements on John Deere as well. Trail has just been seeing kind of continual improvements over the past few years there, changing on sustainable alignments, adding some jumps, adding the fun corners, stuff like that. And then the AMTB project as well, which we'll touch on in a little bit more detail shortly. So it's finally complete. It took a couple of years longer than we really wanted it to, partially because it was scheduled for completion in March this year with a grand opening that we'd planned with BC Parks in April. Yeah, that didn't happen. So honestly, though, that took a huge amount of work. We're very, very proud of it. It's done at this point in time. We also retuned up Empress Bypass over the past week or so with when the machine was in there to complete the final reroutes on Bridle. So this should be a great trail for everyone, really, not just AMTBs, but kids, families, everything like that, new beginner riders. So go check that out and let us know what you think. And then we'll be on to greater, bigger, better, different projects here in the near future. Touching on trail advocacy, as Laura mentioned, a big part of this is membership numbers, and that kind of helps determine how big of a stick we can wield with some of these people. And instead of wielding the stick, we really prefer to do it with friendships. It's much easier than that. So that's why we have agreements like the Frome Trail Maintenance Agreement, which is how we maintain most of the trails on Mount Frome. So that's roughly $100,000 a year, and works to keep trail crew busy maintaining everything from Lower Griffin to the top of 7th. The trail closures that we've seen on DMV lines this year have been a bit frustrating. There's been a few of them. some old trails, some new trails. You may have seen the North Shore News articles of, ultimately neighborhood kids kind of building trails in their backyards and getting closed down. That's frustrating, unfortunate to see. I think it's a little bit COVID related, but we'd love to see some of those, neighborhood jumps and small backyard park trails reopened and or, brought into the sustainable environment. We're always advocates for that, proactive management is going to be more environmentally friendly than reactive management, and after things have been done potentially in the wrong way. So, working with the DNV on this across the shore is something that we do on a regular basis. But the more you speak up and the more you use your voices, the more help we get with that. Metro Van and the Lower Seymour Conservation Reserve update. As many of you have seen over the past couple of days, they put out a note on it over the week there. They're working on a management plan update there. This is a big deal and big news potentially. It will include CBC Cabin Trail. They've announced work plans that incorporate replacement of some aging bridge work on NEDs, which is also very important. But this management plan could be big for mountain biking. There will be stakeholder engagement on this, so that's where it's really, really important that you use your voices. So keep an eye on our social channels. We'll be pushing that out as soon as we hear anything more about when some of that stakeholder engagement will be taking place. Speaking of stakeholder engagement, so the CMHC lands, which are kind of the center of Seymour there, are managed by Recreation Sites and Trails BC. The Recreation Area Management Plan that was scheduled to begin at kind of the beginning of Q2 this year, so that will be March, put on hold, go figure. So that was put on hold through this year. We were hoping to have that kind of completed by the end of this year. That process has been restarted now with reaching out to different stakeholders for engagement. Again, there will be lots of opportunities for public stakeholder engagement as part of this recreation area management plan. It's super, super critical that you all get involved in that for the good of not just mountain biking, but have your say on dog walking, hiking, running, all of these kinds of things, and how you use those trails will all go into that plan. That plan will then get used over the next several years to see what trail development in that area looks like. So keep an eye out for both of those big stakeholder engagement opportunities. We will be pushing those out across our social channels, newsletters, all these kinds of things. District of West Vancouver will have a bit of an update from the Venerable Mr. Bardsley here later on, as you would expect. Planning and waiting. There have been some changes, as you may have noticed, some signage, some things like that. So, actual progress in the District of West Vancouver, which we haven't seen in quite a while. So it'd be good to see some of that coming together. And as I said, Alan will have his thoughts on it. And then BC Parks is still slowly working through their trail management strategy. Next slide.
We're going to go to the video.
Let me tell you about the monster. All my chumleys were saying it was like a ride. That trail was like a ride. And I thought, well, what better ride than a roller coaster? So this is the first roller coaster on a mountain bike trail in the world. And I named it the Monster after a friend of mine who is a monster.
So a big hole in all of our hearts this year, obviously, was the lack of fivers. Thank you to those of us who prepaid and let us keep your money. We really, really appreciate that. Currently, event permits have been capped at 50 by the District of North Vancouver and the province of BC, really, for 2021. We really don't know what this looks like. We will get the fivers going as soon as we can in whatever capacity that looks like. So we'll have some modifications, some changes, but really, as many of you probably can guess, it's really just day to day right now. We'll apply for the permits. We'll see what the next year looks like. In the meantime, as you have probably participated in, we had the Social Badger series. So thanks to all of the sponsors for this. It was great fun to see everybody participating online, all of the various kind of ways that it forced people to get out and ride their bike in rain or shine and in the dark. And, you know, after commuting downtown, I saw somebody who did like 100 and something kilometers of Uber Eats driving and or riding, and then managed to complete, I think, a dual mountain social badger. So that kind of stuff is really, really fun to see, and super glad that we could get people kind of engaged and just thinking about trails and trying to ride trails in a different way. And the sponsors were really cool to kind of work with on this. So it was a great series. The worst case scenario for the Fivers next year is that we'll really try to amp this up. I'm hopeful we can have in-person events, but there's really just no way to see at this point in time. For me and the association, 2021 goals and budget here. Trails, really working on a process to develop new trails within the District of North Vancouver on those lands. There really isn't one at this point in time, but that's an important next step piece of this puzzle so that we can start to build new trails in a responsible way in places that it makes sense to fill voids in our network, to increase the capacity of our trail network, and just overall enhance the network in general. 2021 goal we mostly achieved this year is to keep the trail crew busy most of the year. And, you know, as Laura mentioned 2 years ago, we had to kind of work through the winter in a different way. You know, trails get ridden basically year round here. So keeping that going, we're in a good financial position to do that. We're also in a good financial position to do one of the things I've wanted to do for a couple of years here, which is a replenishment of the legacy fund and that rainy day fund to make sure that we always have money for capital project on short notice, global financial economic collapse due to a pandemic, you know, one of these kinds of things. It's great to have just a bit of a cash reserve and a war chest should we need it. And the other big one there that Christine will talk about here in a couple of slides is strategic plan. So there will be lots of opportunities for you as members and for you as non-members and just the general public to engage with this strategic plan and set the tone for the association over the next half decade. Which is really cool and really neat. And so we'll talk about that and how you will be able to engage with that in a little bit. So trail advocacy, your input matters. Complaining on the internet and on Facebook unfortunately doesn't count. Your emails do need to go to someone who is there and looking at them and reading them and listening to them. I harp on this every single year, and this is where you as the public have to have your voice and have your voices heard. So we have a few different ways to do that. Ultimately, for all the land managers are on our website. If you ever have any questions about whose lands the trail is on or why something is some way, please ask us, and then please use that voice to help to drive and be the change that you actually want to see there. And then ultimately we'll have the annual survey as we do every year. And then that strat plan is going to be a big piece of feedback for us as an association this year, this coming year as well. But again, as I do every year, I really can't stress if you do one thing for the NSMBA every year other than buy your membership, send an email to at least one land manager. And okay, two things, also clear a drain. I'm big on that one, as some of you are aware. So those are big ones. If you ever have any questions, please let us know. It's huge that you're involved. And it's super easy to write an email. I know it seems intimidating sometimes, but it's really, really important. So with that, quick quiz question.
Liam, I think you can click to me. So, have you participated in any of these ways to allow your voice to be heard? We're trying to find and learn about good ways that people are engaging and sharing feedback with us, or sharing their voice with their local land managers. And so there's many different ways you can participate in our annual survey, or sending land manager emails. Have you sent us an email or CC'd us on that land manager email, checked out our website, or included input for the strategic plan? You can choose as many of these as you have participated in. We are just trying to learn a little bit more about how you are engaging the best and how you're finding that. And we're also open to other ways that this can look and be for you. So as we start to talk about our strategic plan here, we're going to be opening ourselves up for some feedback and learning how we can make that happen. So it looks like a lot of folks are getting their voice heard by checking out our website and learning more there. We do share a lot of our information onto our website and our social media channels. Looks like a lot of folks do participate in our annual survey as well. Sending land manager emails and sending us an info at, like, those are the greatest ways for your voice to be heard directly by the land manager. They do listen to every single email, so sending them an email and CCing us so that we can follow up is always a great plan. So that leads us into chatting about our strategic plan. So for the last 20 years, the NSMBA has operated without a strategic plan. But as we grow and adjust and learn, it's time for us to think and plan farther ahead than we ever have. When I started with the organization over 6 years ago, we were planning month to month. Very shortly then, we were planning 3 months out. Last year was the first year we had a budget that we stuck to for a year out. So I think we're set up and in a good place to be thinking and planning for the future. The point of this strategic plan is to connect people to the purpose of our organization. And the plan that we create will help us to narrow our focus and produce some incredible results and actions over the next 3 to 5 years. Once this plan is created, its operational implementation will be the responsibility of the executive director, with monthly reports back to the board. It has been made very clear from the board of directors that the time and effort putting this plan together should not be forgotten in its implementation. We will be gathering data, ideas, actions, and feedback in the form of surveys, emails, forms, and polls, which is where you will come in tonight. And you folks will be the first to hear of the board's identified priorities. And we would like you to weigh in on the ideas and actions that you can take, that we can take to fulfill these priorities. So I'm about to share with you the 3 priorities that the organization has deemed as important. They are not in like sequential order. We didn't label them 1, 2, 3 because one is not more important than the other. They are labeled A, B, C. And we're looking for your thoughts and ideas around these priorities that are actionable. So what are some things that we can be doing? So we'll be using Slido here. So get your Slido selves ready. I have not opened the questions yet, but I will be shortly. So strategic plan A. Strategic plan A. Well, all my pieces have gone away. Yeah. Strategic plan priority A are people. Creating an inclusive engagement and support through the attraction and retentions of a diverse group of people. This includes builders, staff, board of directors, volunteers, and members. We're looking to continue to learn and grow inclusive spaces for our builders, staff, members, and trail users, and encourage support of each other to create a pipeline of engagement, ensure that there's this historical knowledge transfer and avoidance of burnout. So in understanding our priority A around people, in retaining and creating safe spaces for folks of diverse backgrounds from everywhere from our members all the way up to our builders and staff and board, we ask of you, sorry, I'm doing double duty, what actions or ideas can we take to achieve our priority on people? So the Slido poll is now open. You can add in some comments here. People will be able to see what you're writing there. But what actions or ideas can we take to achieve our priority on people? In encouraging more folks to be coming out to trail days. You know, it can be how do we find new directors? What other folks can we be bringing into the mix? How can we do that? How will we be able to achieve this priority? I haven't seen any comments come through. Oh, de-emphasizing supporting builders when leading trail days. de-emphasis on riding ability. Wow, there's lots coming in. I'm not going to be able to read them all, but this is what we're looking for. We're looking for thoughts and ideas. Partnering and collaborating with Color the Trails, absolutely. We have been partnering with Judith Kasiyama, of the founder of Color the Trails. It's a very good partnership that we appreciate and are so proud of, and we will absolutely be continuing to support Color the Trails amongst many other organizations. I see social rides, involving youth, absolutely, including more youth. We have done some great things around youth, but there's so much more possibility that I'm very interested in checking out. Sorry, I'm reading all of these as they're coming all in. 32, 34 people have commented, thank you. Like, this is exactly what we're looking for into creating for the strategic plan. So for this priority around people, we'll be reading all of these thoughts and ideas. We're working with Greg Took. He is helping us put together our strategic plan so that we can take all of these. Message Mike Little for more support. That's a great one. And we'll be taking all of these comments and ideas and aggregating them so that we will have some very focused plan of attack for this strategic plan for the next 3 to 5 years. So you can continue adding more to this. I'm going to move on just for the sake of time, and we can talk more about this in the Q&A. But the next the next priority is priority B, being leaders in responsible land use. So leading advocacy efforts, partnerships, and best practices towards a common approach to sustainable use of trails. So examples or other pieces that kind of follow under responsible land use are our relationships with land managers, our access issues and advocacy efforts, educating on responsible land use, being a part of community issues or being in front of community issues such as parking and user conflict, and really focusing our efforts from being proactive to from being reactive to proactive when it comes to trail usage and creating and maintaining new trails. So I'm going to open up the next poll for what actions or ideas can we take to achieve our priority of becoming leaders in responsible land use. So if you go either just below you, if you're live streaming this, in the Slido embedded piece there, you can put any of your comments or ideas, actions around how we can become leaders in responsible land use and getting ahead of advocacy issues and access issues. And I'm starting to see some of these already coming in, which is great. Open forum discussion with land managers. That would be super rad. Having an info booth with volunteers at trailheads to educate trail users. Absolutely. It's a great place to meet folks. This is such great feedback that we're getting here. Activate, be nice, say hi. Style campaign, that's a campaign that I personally really love, and I have a bunch of stickers. Cooper might have a bunch of the stickers I gave him still. Yeah, this is great feedback that we're starting to get in here. Indigenous involvement, absolutely. I think too, if we're thinking about Indigenous involvement, like what specific targeted actions could we be taking? So how do we know that we've achieved Indigenous involvement? Is it just having a conversation, or is it another level of relationship building? Looks like a lot of people like that say hi campaign. Great. We have 45 comments that have come in, which is amazing. Thank you so much, everyone, for your feedback. This is really, really great to see. And again, we'll be aggregating all of these comments so that we can have and create some very actionable items moving forward. So I'm going to move on to strategic plan priority C. So strategic plan priority C is creating financial resilience. And this is something that Laura really touched upon, and as our organization has been growing, is something that we becomes even more important to us. So ensuring that we can secure a sustainable future for the NSMBA and planning ways to fund this growth is what's most important. So we've seen things like membership growth, which isn't proportionate to our usership. So we'd like to see that happening. Diversifying our money and partnerships, which in the graphic that Laura shared earlier showed that we're moving towards that. But what other actions can we be taking? What resources can we be using, such as people and trails and skills? And then what other types of capital projects could we be taking on? So I'm going to open up the poll for what actions or ideas can we take to achieve financial resilience. And if you're watching the live stream on our website, you can go down and comment below. Or if you're on your phone, you can make comments here. Y'all folks like to make me laugh. How can we create financial resilience? What other partners can we bring on? What other actions can we be taking to ensure that we are around for a long time, so we can ensure that the future of the NSMBA can be around, so we can ensure that trails can continue to be maintained. Cut Cooper's salary from 0 to, should we start charging him? I think we already do with his membership.
I already have to buy a membership.
Membership ambassadors. Ooh. That's something I haven't heard before. This is why we're doing this, folks. This is so great. Coaching initiatives, encouraging local bike shops to sell memberships, social rides, take a cut from tire manufacturers, signs on trailheads with QR codes. If you go out on the trails, you will see that already. Monthly small gift campaign to create recurring revenue stream. Might even be great if people are looking for gifts for their birthday. Instead of a birthday, they can get make a donation on somebody's behalf to the organization. More gear with super cool logos and designs. We have a few things coming down the pipeline. But these are great ideas. Sorry, I'm not going to sit here and just comment on your comments. But these are great. These are great ideas. These are things that we are putting into practice. And all of these ideas are exactly what we're looking for, so that we can put it on paper and ensure that these things are happening and are going to be actioned by myself and the rest of the staff, and making this more operational. And ensuring that we can hit our priority A, B, and C to ensure that we can move forward as an organization. So thank you. Thank you for participating in this. Digger does have a YouTube channel. Check it out. He has one. So thank you for responding to that. I am going to leave that one open for a little bit longer because we're getting some good stuff coming through there. And I'm just going to move the slides ahead here. And as I move the slides ahead, we are going to get an update from virtually from yours truly, Alan Bardsley. Alan is here with us tonight, but because this production is what it is, we are going to hear the lovely Alan Bardsley's voice, and he is going to share with us a Cypress Trails update.
Hi ho, Alan Bardsley with your Cypress update.
That was fun.
There are 4 topics and time is limited, so let's get straight into it. As part of the Trails plan, West Vancouver has been putting trail signs up at the trailheads. You've probably seen a couple of them. They were supposed to start meetings on trail classification, whether they're hiking, biking, or mixed use, but COVID kind of killed that. COVID also killed their budget. So like in most municipalities, West Van Parks has been dealing with increased usage and decreased funding. And I'm sure people here are familiar with that situation, and they're just dealing with it as they can.
Sorry about that,
Parks is
Nsmba.
definitely overloaded.
I changed something and I didn't realize it would change your thing.
Now, it's been 3 years since it was first proposed to do something with the trails in the Mystery Downhill area. The official word from the district is, and I quote,
on the stream.
the district has been working with landowners to make 1 or 2 mountain bike trails available, as well as to reestablish an uphill hiking trail.
I don't have to hear Alan.
We've been making good progress and is finalized in 2021. If the stars align, we can see ourselves asking the Nsmba and local builders to work with us to improve 1 or 2 mountain bike trails and the uphill hiking trail. This is in alignment with the Trails plan, and we are looking forward to working with the Nsmba and other volunteers on trails in West Vancouver. Now it seems they are leaning towards reverting Mystery back to become a hiking trail and authorizing Jersey Shore or meat sweats. My own preference would be to build a new trail for hikers that could also be used as a climbing trail. West Van is aware of the difficulties in changing existing behavior of bikers that currently use Mystery. They also know that only having 1 authorized trail will cause problems when the trail is closed for maintenance. We shall see how this develops. The planning for Cypress Village is making real progress. They just released a survey on West Vancouver ITE/Upperlands that asks what activities people do there. So I encourage everyone to take the survey. I encourage your family and your friends to take the survey. And please answer the questions honestly. It doesn't matter whether you live in West Vancouver or not. Most of the questions are pretty straightforward, but I do want to comment on 2 of them. Question 2 asks, which is more important to you? Recreation, conservation, or a balance of the 2? In my mind, there should always be a balance, and I hope others will agree. Question 4 is not well described, but it's largely about financial cost to West Vancouvers. So if you don't care or don't pay taxes in West Vancouver, you can tune out for the next minute. There are 2 options. One, to allow 2,500 units at Cypress Village and protect half of Eagle Ridge now, or to allow 3,500 units and protect all of Eagle Ridge. The long-term plan has always been to protect all of Eagle Ridge, but they don't make that clear in the question. The calculation for development value is pretty solid, and the extra 1,000 units almost compensates BPP for the extra value in the Eagle Ridge lands, but not quite. So there will be additional cost to West Vancouver if they go with the 3,500 unit option and protect all of Eagle Ridge now. Again, this is not made clear. The question asks if you want to protect all of Eagle Ridge or just half, and guess which people will prefer. Anyways, please complete the survey by December 14th. Now, the big news is what's happening at McGavin Field, now called Cypress Pop-Up Village. This is the flat area at the first switchback. The district just changed it from a sports field to a public area, and they've given BPP a 10-year lease on it. And their plans include temporarily setting up a sales presentation center, parking, public washrooms, and a coffee shop. These are all temporary buildings. The coffee shop is going to be in a shipping container, so don't get excited about it. What is exciting is that their plans also include a bike station with tools and a bike wash. Now, a bike wash doesn't sound like a big deal, but frankly, after years of BPP talking the talk, but still trail after trail was being impacted by development, this bike wash is the first visible sign that BPP really does want mountain biking to be a part of Cypress Village. It's the one way they can show us that we actually have a future there. So personally, well, I'm pretty much embarrassed at how happy this makes me, but it's coming. And I encourage people both to use the new parking facilities and to use the bike wash, maybe even buy a coffee. That's it for now. I'll be happy to answer any questions over in the chat area.
So now the election process begins. And thank you, Alan, for that Cypress Trails update. If you are looking for the survey that Alan is referring to, it's this one that's here up on the slide. It's westvancouverite.ca/upperlands. We will be following up and also sharing this out through our social media channels, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And it'll also be in the meeting minutes. And we will also be putting it on our website. So if you miss it out here tonight, don't worry, we will check back later. But exciting times and some fun things to come over on Cypress. So that's all of our updates. But now we're getting into the nitty-gritty, the election process. So it's time to vote. What's upcoming here are the candidates will introduce themselves in a 1-minute pre-recorded video, which we asked of them. Someone's saying I'm muted. Am I muted? No. Okay. The candidates can introduce themselves in a 1-minute pre-recorded video that will be showing. The members can vote for acclamation into the 2021 Board of Directors on a candidate-by-candidate basis, and by marking the ballots for up to 8 candidates. We haven't had the form open until the candidates start speaking, and that's to avoid people voting by proxy. And Ben tells me that it is open now. So you should be able to, if you're logged into your membership 365, you should be able to see your voting form. If you have any questions, please make sure that you put it in the Q&A. We are watching and answering questions in the Q&A. If we haven't answered you, it's because an answer is coming later. And you go to, once you've logged into your membership 365, go to the tabs, and one of them is labeled forms, and that's where you'll be able to vote for the Board of Directors. The majority of those voting must agree. And yes, you can purchase your membership now to be eligible to vote through our membership 365 platform. If you are watching and you are not yet a member, but would like to become one, you can vote this evening. Some things to note, that board members are elected for a 2-year term. And then in the interest of continuity, we aim to have 2 batches in alternate years. Elections are for a place on the board. Roles are assigned based on the need and skill set once the candidates are elected. This is to ensure that we have candidates working in fields that they feel very confident in, and being able to use their skill set to the best of the organization's ability. So continue to log in. If you're having any issues with logging in, please use the Q&A through Slido. We will be responding and helping you out. Ryan and Ben are behind the scenes, and this is what they've been spending the last few months working on towards this. So without further ado, here are our director candidates announcements.
Good evening. My name is Michael Archer, and I am seeking election to the Nsmba Board of Directors. I've been working in accounting for around the last 10 years and been writing for many more than that. I believe the future of trail usage lies in creating an open and inclusive environment, and I would like to help the organization continue in their mission towards this. I'm not the most qualified candidate, but I would appreciate the opportunity to utilize my years of accounting experience to give back to a sport that has given me so much for so long. I would like to wish the best of luck to all the candidates, and thank you all for taking the time to consider me for this role.
Hey there, my name's Colin Brumell. Born and raised in Vancouver, been riding bikes on the shore since rigid forks and cantilever brakes were stylish. I just love having these trails in our own backyard. I mean, look at this! For work, I'm a software engineer and business owner, currently running a small company called Chop Shop that makes video content for people. Before Chop Shop, I worked at Twitter as a software engineer and manager, building the advertising platform there. Back in 2000, I was actually on the Nsmba board and built one of the early versions of the website. When I think about what I can bring to this board, as an engineer, I'm good with technology. As a business owner, I understand how to do marketing and sales. I'm good with data analysis and looking for the helpful insights and numbers. And I'm also an investor in a few startups and breweries, and I have a decent network and fundraising experience. I'm just really excited to be able to help give back to the community that's given me so much joy over these years. I'd be honored to be part of the Nsmba board and help make 2021 the best year yet.
Hi, my name is Marcus Bergman. I'm one of the many candidates for a board of director position at the Nsmba. I've been using the trail network here on the North Shore for roughly 3 years now. I came late to the party, and I thought it's time to actually give something back and contribute to this organization. As a director, I would hope I can focus and provide some guidance to go towards the overall direction or strategic direction of the organization, but also in particular with regards to a responsible and sustainable growth of the trail network that is very inclusive to all people in the region. I would also hope that I can contribute to fundraising and in particular also in communication and collaboration with the land managers. So with your vote and with your mandate, I would love to contribute to the ongoing success of this really awesome organization. Thank you.
Hi, Nsmba. I'm Ben, and I'm applying to the board. Why I'm applying is, honestly, I love mountain biking, and I want to contribute to an organization that does amazing work and has such an important mission. The Trails for All strikes me deep, and one of the things and one of the reasons why I feel like giving back is so our business has been saved by the community that we built and what we put in place before the pandemic started, and the outpouring of support and of feedback, of ideas was amazing from our clients. And so what I want to bring to Nsmba is helping this community grow, because ridership this year has gone through the roof. So how can we grow this community in a way that invites people to join it who maybe didn't see themselves as mountain bikers before, but now feel a sense of ownership over the trails that they get to enjoy? That's what I want to be a part of, is really accessing new people and making them feel part of something. So thanks a lot. Have a good one.
Hi. I'm Alex Davis. I'm originally from Montreal, but moved to the North Shore from California nearly 3 years ago. Mountain biking has been my passion since '97, and for some time, it was all I wanted to do. My first job was as a bike mechanic, and I even started my own race team and got sponsors. These early experiences introduced me to business and technology and greatly contributed to my 15-year career in the software industry. For the last 5 years, I've been working for the nonprofit Mozilla, the makers of the Firefox web browser that protects your privacy online. You see, I only wish to work on things that do good for people, like the Nsmba. When I left Silicon Valley to return to Canada, it should be no surprise that I settled with my new family on the North Shore. It's the trails that attracted me. There's no better place for work-life family balance. I feel so blessed for these trails in what I now consider my backyard. Let me go first full circle and now use my knowledge of growing companies to help the Nsmba thrive and to continue to change the lives of the people of the greater Vancouver area. Thank you so much.
Hi, I'm Isabel, and this is my trail bud Cypress, and I'm running for the Board of Directors of the North Shore Mountain Bike Association. I've had the honor of being your Director of Advocacy for the last 2 years, hoping to keep that going, so please vote for me. Thank you.
Hey everyone, I'm Ross, and originally from the UK with a background in hospitality. Moved to the North Shore with a family in 2012, and in the last 8 years steadily upgraded my skills, my bike and my commitment, and would now rate myself as EXO Plus, or solidly average as a rider. For me, I just love being out on the trails, especially with my daughter and my trail dog, and for me it's all around friendship, progression, fitness, sense of community, a sustainable connection with nature, and in these uncertain times of COVID, there's a big element of mental well-being from being out on the trails. As far as bringing things to the NSMBA, I want to build on the shoulders of giants. I've got a wealth of understanding and background in customer experience, and for me it's looking at the different user groups. So whether it's North Shore Old School, the weekend warriors, families, new riders through COVID, or making trails truly accessible to people who haven't been represented before. I'd love to be part of the leadership team in 21. Thanks.
Hi everyone, my name is Catherine Enns and I go by Kat. I've been an athlete my whole adult life. I was on the national rowing team, and when that ended I moved into bikes and triathlon and have finally found mountain biking in the last couple of years. I absolutely love our trails in our backyard in North Van, and I would love to be able to be part of the team that gives back to it. I have my CPA, and I currently am the controller of a small biotech company, so I do all things accounting and finance related, and just really think that would be a useful skill to have on the board, as well as I have a bachelor in fine arts, so have a little bit of everything in my back pocket. Yeah, and I just would really love to give back to this community and help everyone enjoy it as much as I do. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Adam Green. I live in North Vancouver with my wife and 2 children. As a brand builder and community advocate, I've worked in the outdoor recreational industry my entire life, working with brands such as Scott Sports, Smith Optics, Saks Underwear, and 7 Mesh Apparel. My experience and background in building community and building brands within the space gives me the opportunity to know how to build brands and develop these community efforts into a healthier ecosystem. I see the opportunity within the North Shore with the increased demand on our trails to develop a trail network that accommodates families, youth, and people like myself that occasionally like to still get after it. I appreciate your consideration and look forward to working with everyone in the future. We'll see you on the trails.
Hi, I'm Jackie Hicks. I live and grew up here on the North Shore, and I'm currently working from home here as well. So my only escape is in my backyard on the trail system, which I am so thankful for. I want to work with the NSMBA and the community to expand and maintain the trail network. I want Pink Starfish to be a sanctioned trail again. I believe that my background as a project manager, working with Parks Canada, building trails and maintaining infrastructure is a great fit for working with the NSMBA. My vision for the NSMBA in 2021 is for the North Shore to embrace being one of the world's best mountain bike destinations. Most of all though, when I ride with my kids, I want them to see a sport where people are respecting the trails and each other, where there is a diverse community of riders on all progressions of trails. And most of all, I want my daughter to see other strong women having a great time, enjoying the outdoors and ripping up the trails. Thank you.
Hi there. My name's Bren Hillier, and I am one of the past board of directors for the North Shore Mountain Bike Association. Just finishing up my first 2-year term on the board of directors, and I'm looking for re-election. So I'd love for you to vote for me. I feel like there's a lot that still needs to be done with the North Shore Mountain Bike Association. I've been involved for a number of years, I think even coming up on 10 years now. I work actually on this trail, the Griffins on Frome, as a trail builder, and I'd like to kind of continue to provide my perspective on the board as one of the trail builders for the North Shore Mountain Bike Association. So if you wouldn't mind voting for me, that would be great. Thanks everybody. Happy trails.
Hi everyone, my name is Sanish. I'm one of your 2021 NSMBA Board of Directors candidates. So a little bit about me. I was born in South Africa, but I grew up in North Vancouver. I fell in love with riding pretty young, like when I was a kid. and then really got into it just before I was a teenager, and that's when I started working in the industry, wrenching and guiding and all sorts of fun stuff. And it was mountain bikes that really pushed me to go into mechanical engineering because I wanted to be a mountain bike designer, and I ended up with a graduate degree in mechanical engineering as well. So the community over the years has given me a lot of incredible role models, a lot of inspiration, a lot of people have invested time and effort into getting me into where I am today. And I would love to help bring that opportunity to more people and support more people getting into the sport through the NSMBA, and would really love an opportunity to give back all that the sport has given me. So thank you for your time, and looking forward to meeting you all soon. Stay safe out there.
Hey guys, so my name is Matt Larson, and I'm a mountain biker, just like everybody else. And I love the trails. I love being able to ride up on Frome, on Seymour, and the access we have is amazing. But the challenge is that could be taken away if the wrong government gets in or if something happens. And I did spend a good chunk of time actually working in politics for various notable parliamentarians, and I worked in industry, potentially mostly in marketing. That's where my background is, and now I teach at a local college, and I have 2 daughters, and my big worry is having that trail access for them because they're loving their bikes more and more. And so for me, I want to see them have the same access and the freedoms that I have, and ensuring better access to trails, more availability for people to maintain the trails, and a really good, strong volunteer base, because it's at the grassroots where we can affect change and we can really ensure that good decisions.
Hey everyone, my name is Vanessa Lebrun, and I'm applying to be on the board of directors of Nsmba because I love the shore. We have an amazing trail network, and I want to invest my time and my energy into making the shore even better. First, I believe that valorizing our volunteers and our members is mandatory to our success. It's by making everyone feel appreciated that we'll recruit even more people and that they will be coming back year after year. Then, I would like to be involved in event management and into building a community that even more people want to be part of. I've had the chance to work on different bike-related major events and to give of my own time as well. And finally, I would like to expand the Trails for All messaging and promote mountain biking and our trail network to different user groups. The North Shore Trails are known around the world for a reason. Some of the best riders live in our area. Together, let's make trails safer and more inclusive for new riders, and let's create a space where advanced riders can keep on pushing the limits of our sport. If I get elected, I promise to listen, learn, and represent.
Hi, my name's Andy. I'm really sorry I can't be with you in person today. I've been mountain biking for about 25 years, and as I moved to Vancouver from growing up in the UK, I've been blown away by the community, the wider demands we have here, and the world-class trails that we have on the North Shore. I'd love to be able to join the board of the North Shore Mountain Biking Association, and I think it'd be a great fit. I really enjoy working with people, I really enjoy the community, and I really want to be able to give something back. So I think that next year is going to be quite demanding in terms of how we manage our sport, how we manage our resources, and how we can make sure that the new users and the extra demands on our trails aren't causing any detrimental impact to the environment and managing all the extra impacts there. And I think that's going to be an interesting challenge for us to manage. And I think that we need a lot of proactive people who are really good at communicating just to manage the wider community. And make sure that we have as minimal impact as possible on not only the environment but the people around us. So thank you.
Hi folks, I'm James Nadell, and I'm honored to be considered for the NSMBA Board of Directors. My partner and I just moved to North Vancouver from Toronto because we love the mountains. Since March, Frome and Seymour have been our home. I've been a passionate cyclist for over 20 years and have spent many of those years as a bicycle mechanic. Now, I'm a criminal lawyer at a historic firm on Lonsdale, where I help vulnerable people navigate the criminal justice system. Preparing a case for trial takes substantial organization, strategy, and labor. I can bring this work ethic and professionalism to the NSMBA. Negotiating with conflicting parties is the very essence of lawyering, so I'm a prime candidate for trail advocacy with land managers to get new trails approved. And you can also send me in to deal with angry dog walkers and hikers. I'm a strong writer and am skilled at parsing legislation and lengthy documents, Give me a grant application and I'll make a persuasive case for the NSMBA. I invite you to learn more about me and my vision for an inclusive NSMBA on its website, and I thank you for your consideration.
Hi, I'm Cooper. This is Logan. Vote for me, because he's a dog, and I'm not.
Hi, I'm Marty, and I'd like to serve as a member of NSMBA's Board of Directors. We have an amazing trail network in our backyards, and we owe a lot of that to NSMBA and its builders. And as a member of your board, I hope to help continue building these trails and strengthening this community. I live here, right at the Mountain View Trailhead. My family and I ride here. I've been working on leopard for the past 2 years as part of the TAP program, and it's been a lot of fun. I'm a consulting geologist and have been one for the last 20 years. My job is all about connecting with clients and stakeholders, developing grants and proposals, and leading teams to get hard work done. For NSMBA, I'll work to explore new relationships and new funding models, keep supporting our builders, and meet growing trail use demands by looking to develop progressive trails to support a diverse user base. I'm looking forward to a great 2021. Thanks for listening.
Wow, so many incredible candidates, and thank you all for taking the time to not only apply, but put together such incredible videos. There were 2 candidates that were unable to apply for, include videos, my apologies. And so I'm just going to read out their application form that they submitted. So we have Jessica Schilzler, and she is a driven, results-oriented global business leader with a diverse personal and professional background. She has a tactical and strategic experience in a variety of corporate systems and processes, including ERP, WMS deployments, RFID, and other omni-enabling technologies, and the creation of inventory systems and programs that support both distribution centers and stores alike. She's a 2-time Ironman triathlete, avid mountain biker, and lives a very active outdoor lifestyle here on the North Shore of Vancouver. She's in the practice of balance, seeking that of ideal blend of personal and professional, drawing on each area to support the other. She's also a certified life and executive coach and founder of the Balanced Athlete performance coaching business that gives her a platform to support and develop more great leaders. Her vision for the NSMBA is leading diversity and inclusion to the shore by educating other outdoor enthusiasts, driving safety within the trail network, and enabling our community to welcome new riders. Thank you, Jessica, for your application. And then Kyle Kalalis Vasconcelos. My apologies, I am trying my best. I love mountain biking so much that I actually moved to Canada because of it. After moving, I realized that I should have done it many years ago. The amount and quality of trails is overwhelming in an incredibly good way, and I feel like giving back to the community is something that I must do. I have project management experience and I'm very good at solving problems. I don't have much trail building experience, but during my teens, I did build local trails and jumps. Her vision of the NSMBA in 2021 she has seen firsthand how mountain bike has grown this year. And her vision of the NSMBA is in perfect position to offer this huge amount of new uses of great trails and experiences so that our sport can grow stronger in the long run while still catering for more advanced riders. Thank you, Kyle. Now it is time to vote. Sorry, I'm going to go to the right slide. Let's vote. This isn't the same slide that I'm seeing on here. That's okay. So log into your NSMBA member portal, and on the dashboard, you can click the tab Forms. And then from that form, you can choose the Board of Directors Elections Manual Member Ballot and then click Vote. And you can choose up to 8 candidates and submit. Please do not choose more than 8 candidates. If you choose more than 8 candidates, your ballot will be spoiled. It will not be counted. So we had such incredible candidates. I am flabbergasted and unsure of who to vote for still now. So take your time And we make sure that you can choose up to 8 candidates on your ballot. Thank you, everybody, for supporting this organization, for putting your name forward. It takes a lot of guts to do that. And again, if you don't make it to the board of directors, there's so many ways that you can remain involved and that you can work together with us. So get your vote on, folks. If you have any questions or you're having trouble, Ben and Ryan are here on the sidelines making sure that they are able to sign in. And if you're having trouble signing in, please check in with them there. So vote, please. Hi, everyone. This is a 2-minute countdown to get your vote in. We are tabulating the votes. One person spoiled their ballot, so now we have to go through and manually count. Thank you, one person. So this is 2-minute countdown to getting in your final vote. And from there, we currently have 138 folks who are with us tonight who voted. 138 members. There's probably many other folks who are with us tonight who aren't members. And thank you for being here and listening to us. But 2 minutes until we announce, till we close, the voting. Then we're going to manually count in an Excel spreadsheet, so that shouldn't take too long. So see us back here in 2 minutes. Thank you. So the polls are now closed. We're quickly tabulating all of the votes that have come in so that we can show you your new 2021 Board of Directors. We have behind the scenes Ryan and Ben, who have been happy to set you up on your membership 365, help you troubleshoot any problems that you had. Thank you for working with them. This is a brand new system that we're working with, and we just really appreciate your patience. But I think it's a lot faster than all those little volunteers that we used to have in the past who would count each individual ballot, and it's going to take a lot less time. So we should have our new board of directors here in the next few minutes. Thank you for staying with us. We're really excited for the year that is to come. Obviously, there's been some challenges this year, but it seems like with all those fresh faces and those cool videos, we're going to have a lot of new vitality in the organization, which we see every year around this time, and we're just really excited. So bear with us for another minute or so as we update our next slide with the new board of directors for the North Shore Mountain Bike Association, and I will be back shortly.
So the reason for the delay, and I would like to remind you that this always takes forever at the real AGM because we have paper ballots and have to do the counting, but we have a tie for a position that matters a little bit. So we're doing a recount, just like it's Georgia or Pennsylvania, except it is actually close. So bear with us here, quick recount on one of the positions, and we'll have an answer to you shortly here. But yeah, I don't know if we've ever had tie before. So here we go.
would ask, what's the sense of our everyday? But don't we all sometimes running around? They tell us to spend our life just selling ourselves to get attention. It's all you get recognized for. What's the point of it all? What's the point? Is there no sense at all? I need to know. What's the point of it all? Oh, tell me, baby. Is there no sense at all? Guess I can change the way it is. We're just meant to be struggling.
The votes have been counted, and we are very excited to announce that even though there was a tie for 8th and 9th place, that we were able to give positions to the 8th and 9th place folks. So we technically have 9 positions that were filled from the 8, and we are very excited to announce that these are our new 2021 Board of Directors. A virtual round of applause for all of the folks who put their names forward, who submitted videos, who cared about the trails enough to put their name forward to give back. It looks like the slide has not updated. Let's update the slide. Sorry, the slide has not updated. Might have to stop and start the slideshow all over again.
Will do.
Just bear with us one moment. But thank you to everyone who applied. This year has been unprecedented in so many ways. Of my 7 board of directors that I've been a part of, this is the first year where we've had this many candidates. It just goes to show that so many people are very interested in participating. And here it is. This is your 2021 Board of Directors. So as I said earlier, there was a tie for 8th and 9th place. So we've made that 9th place the 13th seat on the Board of Directors available. So thank you to everyone who applied. But here are your new 2021 Board of Directors. Thank you so much. I'm looking forward to working with all of you here in 2021. Thank you everyone who voted and who was patient with us while we worked through this new platform. So, Cooper, you made it in. You made it back.
I'm back. I'm back. No, great. Good to see some new faces and some new names there. Thanks everyone for putting their hats in the ring. And for those of you that didn't make it, we'll be like, please reach out, please help. You don't have to be on the board to help. A bunch of you have strategic skill set that would be very interested in utilizing. So there'll be some emails going around and stuff like that to try to suck you into the fold without your board of directors hat on, as it were. So really appreciate that. And with that, we'll go to a quick Q&A session here. And then I'm just going to scroll through some of the live stream comments, some of the YouTube comments, and then a couple that were submitted via email and whatnot. I'll kind of bang through those. I might point at other people on the Zoom chat here to answer various things if need be. So I'm not going to go through these in a particular order. I'm going to start at the top, which is the most recent, and scroll down from there. DB at EB, Darren, will the AGM be recorded? Will you share with members afterwards? If so, it's really well done. So yeah, thank you, Andy and Liam. It is really well done, despite our best efforts. And I don't know if it's recorded, Christine?
Absolutely recorded.
Yes, it is recorded. So yes, we will share that with people. Thank you, Liam. Scrolling down, are we able to add feedback on previous poll questions? Yes, and you can also email in your feedback should you feel the desire to expand upon your answers more than you feel like you can in Slido or anything like that. Bryn asks an excellent question of what sort of things would normally be asked / written in an email to a land manager. It could be a lot of things. So when we think about that, I think one of the things to consider is how a lot of the feedback that land managers get on anything, and this applies to fire hydrants as much as it applies to trails, but is negative. And it's, I don't like this, I don't like that, I had this negative experience. And then things that people generally feel neutral about or have positive experiences with, they're probably not providing feedback on that kind of stuff to land managers and politicians and whatnot. So it's important for us as mountain bikers and as a trail association that they hear positive things about the association, about mountain bikers, about trails in general, stuff like that. If you have specific comments, feedback, stuff like that, I think that's really important. Whenever people ask, what should I be writing about? My answer is, what do you feel like you should be writing about? What do you care about? What do you want to see happen? What do you enjoy? And if it's a quick, thank you for your support, District of North Vancouver, for the North Shore Mountain Biking, that goes a long way. If it's a thank you for your support for them, I think they should be able to build more trails, or I think the shore needs a double black diamond trail, or things like that. Those are great add-ons. Do you think the small neighborhood park in your neighborhood needs a pump track? Are your small children trying to build small trails in their neighborhood park? Those are good things to add feedback on. And again, important to keep in mind that especially as mountain bikers, we are kind of easy to villainize, and there's a lot of feedback that goes to various land managers. That is, I had this negative experience with mountain bikers on the trails. And if you as a mountain biker or you as a hiker had a positive experience, you probably didn't email about that. So lots of different things that you could ask or write about. But again, I think positive experiences and just things that you want to see happen, or things that you appreciate in your day-to-day rides, are really, really important to see out there. Climber McClimby, interesting name. Will there be more education for new riders or signs about, quote, climbers right away, end quote, on trails like Griffin Uphill, Lower Griffin, King of the Shore, and roadside attraction? Yeah, it's a tough one. There's some other questions that tie into this as well. So one of the things I'll say is that for a lot of the signage, we don't get to have a lot of input or say on that. You'll notice that at the top of most trailheads, there's a small trail adoption program sign. That's a lot of the signs that we get to do. The rest of it is controlled by the land managers, be it primarily Metro Vancouver or District of North Vancouver. So we don't get to do a lot of that kind of signage. There are more and more on Frome, specifically unidirectional trails that do have do not enter signs at the bottom of them. Certainly traditionally, climbers have always had the right of way on trails. I continue to ride that way. These is something that we work to educate on. But on two-way trails, I think what I'd say is the most important thing is that courtesy has the right of way, and that doesn't matter if you encounter a hiker, a biker, a rock climber, or a mountain bike climber. Like, courtesy has the right of way. Be a decent human being. But so we can work on some education, but unfortunately, a lot of the signage is kind of out of our purview. And following up on that question, having QR codes on the signs to take people to the right places and making sure they are in parts of the mountain with cell coverage. We just don't have a lot of control over signage. We will be working on some signage on Seymour this year in the CMHC lands, but that signage is very strictly controlled in terms of what it looks like by the province of BC. Rec Sites and Trails has their trail sign standards. Some of those will have mini maps and things like that on it. So hopefully that improves the wayfinding. And cell coverage is an ever-moving, ever-changing kind of thing. It's tough to really put on a sign per se. Did Nsmba apply for the community workforce response grants that the other trail orgs did? We applied for, honestly, such a pile of various grants throughout the year that I've lost track of some of them. Maybe Laura can nod or shake her head if we applied for that specific one that she's aware of, the community workforce grants. That one doesn't ring a bell to me, but she's nodding, so perhaps.
Well, I thought that was, no, that's not the October one. Okay, we should look into that then.
No, we haven't. So we'll look into that. So thank you, Anonymous. Dangerous Dave Herr Are you able to speak to Metro Vancouver's plans for CBC, Cabin and Dales, and what, if any, will the NSMBA's involvement be? Yes, we touched on this a bit during the meeting. I think after you asked the question there, Dave, we don't really know that much more than what they've said publicly. We know they've engaged with Nsmba. I've talked to AJ quite a bit. Well, quite a bit's a stretch. I'm aware of what they're working on, but ultimately that's in Metro style, that's a fairly private process that we haven't really been party to at this point in time, other than being told kind of where they're working on those trails, and then that there will be a stakeholder engagement process. I'm hopeful that this has positive impacts on that east part of Seymour, but we shall see. Seth Oldham asks, is the NSMBA building a relationship with the Tsleil-Waututh or Squamish in any way, given the trails are right in the middle of their traditional trail territory? Short answer, yes and no. We've done some work with the Tsleil-Waututh, not enough, to be perfectly frank. That's something we're working on. That's also something that's obviously very tough in 2020 here. We have a couple of board members that are passionate about that. Obviously, it's I think really important for a lot of different reasons, and so that is something we will be working on. But that's something that's been made quite challenging in 2020 here, especially. So we do have some relationship with the Tsleil-Waututh, but it's not what I think we'd like it to be. But we'll keep at it and keep seeing how that goes. Going to scroll through the YouTube comments here quickly. Some of the same questions. Do days in the Frome and Seymour parking lot are raising awareness for memberships and letting people? Oh, so not really a question, a comment, but so do days in the Frome and Seymour parking lot raising awareness for memberships and letting people sign up on the spot? So we used to do more of this before this year happened. Everyone's favorite candidate, Logan, is here. This year that was tough. Frome lot is quite difficult for us as it's controlled by the District of North Vancouver, and those days have to be kind of specifically for education and outreach. They can't be membership drives or anything like that. We can't really sell stuff at those days. Old Buck is a little bit easier as it's BC Parks. Much easier for us to get permits to operate out of Old Buck. We do typically do a bunch of those days, especially in the spring, but this year that was basically a non-starter for us. Do family memberships only get one vote? You should have gotten 4 votes with your family membership, but only 1 vote per person. Is this the official ambient forest music for the NSMBA? No, Mr. Lavender. We would choose some doom metal for that, of course. Tyler Moreland, I blame Stephen Matthews, as do I, for everything. There was another couple. Blue Ridge Pump Track, please. Yeah, so would love to see some more pump tracks. This is another thing that you can email us, email council about. If you want to see a pump track, if you think you have a place that a pump track makes sense, if you have a bunch of neighborhood kids or neighborhood kids that look like me and have beards and still pretend to be kids and they want to have a pump track, emails, and the more we have that happen, the more likely we are to be able to get to build those all across the shore. I'd love to see one in every single park, basically across the shore. And then let me pull up a couple of the where, yes. So a challenging question. Apologies for not looking at you. I have to look over here to be able to read it. But with the recent approximately 200% plus increase in participation in cycling, the trails have never been busier. I agree. In addition, e-bikes have become much more widely used. This means more riders on trails and trails getting used by riders on e-bikes, which can do more laps in a given time. This all equals more wear and tear on the trails. From my observations, both riding and trail building, I can verify that there are more people on trails and wear and tear on trails that has increased a lot. I would wholeheartedly agree with that. The data backs that up, be it trail counters, be it trail forks, be it just, again, just viewing the Frome parking lot. With this in mind, I have two questions, one for the board of directors candidates and one for the current board of directors. Unfortunately, we aren't able to put questions directly to the candidates. So going to skip that question. Sorry, SB. But for the current board, which is now the new board, including some of those candidates, the existing crew of builders is shrinking and not growing. It has been pretty much stagnant for 5 years. We have an increased need for trail maintenance and thus need more builders and more hours put into the trails. What is the board going to do? 1, increase the number of permitted builders out maintaining trails or increase funding for trail crew. 2, support the existing builders in order to retain these individuals. I think we need to do basically there's 3 things there. I think we need to do more or less all of them. We need to work on increasing the number of permitted builders out maintaining trails. We need to work on that buddy system. We need to work on elevating people up through the ranks to their own permits. We need to increase funding for trail crew. Ultimately, they are the builders on the permitted builders on a significant number of the trails that we have. And then at least as important as both of those is we need to continue to support the existing builders in order to retain them. And it's not always a particularly thankful job. It can be fairly thankless at times to be a builder out there on the trails. But I think that hopefully we can retain them. I'd like to hear from you, builders, in ways that you feel we could acknowledge you better, the ways that we could support you better. Because my goal as the president here is always for you to see your best vision of the trail take shape, and however we can assist you to make your trails the best is what I want to do, really. So, my phone's always on. Please feel free to reach out. And I think I'll ask Ryan, but is that most of the questions, Ryan? And Ben?
There's a couple questions that have come in on Slido that I could try and address to share the load a bit if you want.
Sure. Yeah, chime in, Isabel. I missed those, but yeah, give her.
No worries. Just some people are still bringing them up, which is great. I'm glad we still have some folks around. We've got a question about kind of some more XC trails around Circuit 8. That was one of the first things I asked when I joined the board. It's really the only flat area, great for beginners. But again, it comes down to the land manager, and that's Metro Vancouver there. And their priority has always been about maintaining the watershed and the water quality. And so hoping to improve on that relationship in the future. But again, this is where we need your help as members to reach out to the land managers and let them know this is what you want to see. And as Cooper touched on, making sure it's in that positive light, and trying to, the more voices they hear, the better on that front. And then there was a similar kind of question around the DNV and Dales being rerouted, the advanced trails. Again, this all comes down to the relationships with the land managers, and the more they hear from the community about the importance of the trails, the diversity that's needed out there, the better, and that makes our voice stronger when we do go to approach them. So again, just another push to reach out to land managers and make sure your voice gets heard there. Dasha, yes, your comment around the gender, we did discuss it here, sorry, while we were counting the votes there, but that was us there, and our apologies on that front. Dan, new trails with gaps in like air supply, pig starfish. What's our current relationship with DNV? I might have to throw this back one over to Cooper. Oh, who's about to step away? That's fine. As there's a couple questions here around. Okay, a couple questions around the advanced trails on Frome, and you may have the latest on that front.
For sure. So the pink starfish zone is basically a non-starter based on all the past reports, environmental reports. Basically, that whole zone is kind of out. What is potentially in is air supply down through kind of X jerry rig area, and that's an area that from an environmental kind of polygon standpoint maybe works. That's the area that we've talked about in the past. What do we need to make that happen? You'll recall from earlier in the deck there that one of the things I mentioned was a process with the DNV for new trails. There just isn't really one. If you went to build a garage, there's a process. You need this permit, you need this permit, you need this check, you need this electrician, boom, 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 boom. That doesn't really exist for trails. So working on building that with them, there's certainly, you have to reinvent the wheel on this. That exists in other places, but working with each individual landowner and their individual needs can be a process. That is something we're working on. We are hearing that, they're still willing to keep working with us on that. That's a great example of something that if 100 people emailed in and asked about, we'd probably get somewhere. So that's a priority for 2021, certainly, especially now that the AMTB is kind of behind us. Again, that took a lot longer than we wanted it to for various reasons. And so, yeah, the current relationship with DNV is good. It's challenging at times with them because we're not only a contractor through the From Mountain trailer maintenance agreement, but then we're an advocacy group. And so have to kind of simultaneously go back and forth between working with them together with the great partnership that we have under that maintenance agreement, but then also be that advocacy group. And that means we don't always get along. And so it's a balancing act there, but would love to see that happen. Get you and all your friends and all your taxpayers to write in and then ask them about what the status on that is. And if you'd like to see a bunch of big tabletop jumps on air supply built with a machine down into a really cool Black Diamond trail in the jerry rig area, that's an area on Frome that the reports say would work. We've gotten indications that that could happen, but we just need the political will to help make that happen.
And I think just
go ahead,
an example there, I was just going to touch on your point there, and I think we talked about it at the town hall in the summer, but like our voices work if you think of the teeter-totter situation that we had this year. Was that this year? It feels like it might have been last year, actually. I can't even remember. This year's been
Don't even remember.
When was the teeter-totter issue? I think that was last year now. But that goes to show you that our voices get heard when we do it in large enough numbers. And so, that was a really big concern for the community, and voices were mobilized, and it worked, right? Look at Burnaby Mountain as well. I know one of the board candidates raised that as an example. And again, that's a terrific tangible action that happened because of our voices, that we spoke up to something in the mountain bike community. So with that.
Yeah. So Dan, is there any hope of a comprehensive trails master plan / strategy for the shore that spans various land manager areas? I'd love to see it, but I don't think that ever happens. Seymour, there's maybe a little bit of collaboration across land managers at times. The varying levels of government that have to come together to make that happen is like insane, which puts us in an interesting position in that we're the only ones that are actually building and working on trails across all of the different land managers. So in theory, we kind of maybe have a little bit better picture of the entire network than any individual land manager. But even trying to, the DNV has been trying to standardize some of the signage across the shore, and they got DWV on board. If you've seen like the new sign at the top in the kind of mystery DH zone, some of those trails, those are based largely off the DNV signage. But like Metro then in the LSCR has their completely own signage standards. RSTBC and on the CMHC lands, they have their own signage standards. Like even something as simple as that is really challenging. So I'd love to see that, but I think it's super unlikely. Gordon, QR codes on the side of the tool container. I've been thinking about that as a big blank canvas this year. So watched that in 2021. We haven't really talked about that yet, but that is something I'd like to take advantage of. And Mr. Beas, my predecessor, one of them, any update on the advanced trail on From? The long and the short of it is this year killed a lot of things, at least temporarily, but there is good indications from staff right now that they're starting to hear more and more about how that's an important need. And so something we'll be pushing ahead further and faster, hopefully in 2021. That is something that I would like to see at least, some sort of permits or tools in the ground before I step aside. So hopefully we can make that happen. Maybe not the answer you wanted, but we are kind of working on it. And Gord, on the NSMB forums, there's talk from DNV that Dales will be rerouted. Any comment on this? Is it possible for NSMBA to step in and help guard old trails? It's probably LSCR, and it's this in Metro instead of DNV. But yeah, the talk of a Dales reroute there, I'm not exactly sure what they're on about. They've talked about rerouting some of the top section below the new berms along the creek there in the past. They've never managed to follow through with that. That's something we would certainly fight against and have. One of the arguments being that it's more environmentally sustainable to keep an existing trail and build it so that it is in an environmentally friendly way than it is to build an entirely new trail. That's a good place where if push comes to shove on that, we might need your help. That said, one of the challenges with the LSCR is they're very hard to apply pressure to because of just how they operate within the Metro Vancouver ecosystem. They don't really answer to anyone per se on the recreational side of things. So yeah, we'll find out more about that as we can and keep everybody posted. Following up on the question on new trails, can this info on current projects or initiatives be posted on the NSMBA website? Hard for new members to know history. Some of that has been on the website. Certainly, some of the proposals that we've had through the past, which we try to keep that updated. It's a balance between providing too much information and not enough information. Certainly, so when we do have kind of new stuff coming out, we'll try to keep that updated. And Dave again, Nsmba Canada. So Nsmba Canada, I think it's important to consider that they're not actually really Nsmba. They're a completely separate organization. They see no funding from Nsmba or anything like that. I've suggested several times that they change their name because there's certainly negative connotations that some people have with Nsmba. It's more or less, they have an executive director based in Squamish, and then they have a board kind of based across Canada. AJ in Squamish there does the lion's share of anything that's boots on the ground. I know him fairly well. We talk on a reasonably regular basis, but because of the contracts that Nsmba signs with some of the clients, there's only so much that he can say at various points in time. So we'll see what comes out of the Metro Van stuff. I am overall hopeful for that. And Matthew Bond, how about the extension of the Dempsey connector from Braemar to Mountain Highway? Yes, so that's another one that I think with a significant email campaign, perhaps from people who live in the area, maybe who asked questions earlier, could help see through. We as the NSMBA would like to see some better connections from the west side of Frome back to the parking lot and the east side there in Mountain Highway, but ultimately have kind of been foiled at every turn with all of our various proposals and applications and potential routes. So yeah, that's another one. All that the route, the idea, the concept is there. The political will is not at this point in time. So the one way to make that happen is go check the NSMBA website or the District of North Vancouver website for contact emails and just send them. Lots of them. And with that, if there's nothing. And they bring back pink starfish on the YouTube comments. Love to, never gonna happen. But with that, I think we'll pass over to, I guess we need to close the meeting out here. So I can, at Or, yeah, sorry, community announcements, I guess. So quickly then, if anyone has any significant community announcements, throw those into Slido and we can read them out. Ordinarily, you'd get a chance to at the microphone, but we'll give people 3 minutes to put in any potential community announcements. Then we will adjourn the meeting and we can go have a beer over on Zoom, which is less fun than normal, but we'll give you 3 minutes here till 8:50 for community announcements. These will be moderated, but anything that's reasonable on any stretch will be read out.
But nothing really matters to me as long as I got you, baby. I try to focus on what's right, even if it's confusing. But nothing really matters to me as long as I got you, baby. As I got you. What do we like? Did someone say it's okay? Or do it, or just do it because everyone does? Why don't we speak up? Then we lose our voice. Is this a disease? Can it be cured? Guess I can change the way it is. We're just meant to be struggling, but nothing really matters to me as long as I got you, baby. I try to focus on what's right, even if it's confusing, but nothing really matters to me as long as I got you. Guess I can change the way it is. We're just meant to be struggling, but nothing really matters to me as long as I got you. I try to focus on what's right, even if it's confusing, but nothing really matters to me as long as I got you. Where we go from
And we're back. I missed one question there from someone there. So the Builders Academy created a large team of knowledgeable and excited volunteers who knew what they were doing. Why was it canceled? Reestablish it! Exclamation mark. Agreed. The Academy was great and really did help build that capacity that we need, and touches on that earlier question. So that is something we're working on. As you saw in the 3 points of the strategic plan, their education is one of those 3 main points. And certainly the Academy was one of the big pieces of that previously. And so we'll be bringing some form of major educational program back in the future here with the eye to build that capacity and, keep people moving up through the ladder and hopefully then have more builders out there to help the existing ones out and, take the torch and the reins as time moves on. So with that, and Mr. Rick, can this be the format for all the AGMs going forward? Well, we'll see. I kind of miss having you all in person, if I'm honest. Drinking beer by myself is a little bit more lonely. So we'll see, but we will try to have some form of virtual component maybe going forward here. And thanks from Sean to the current board members and staff. No, thank you from the board members and staff to all of the builders. You guys are out there, and I see a comment below from Sarah as well. Yeah, we all want to have trail days. The builders desperately want to have trail days. I'll be perfectly honest and say that I've been fairly strict on trail days, perhaps more so than even Dr. Henry recommends, which I know has been hard on our builders and hard on our trails, but that's been a choice from myself and the board and the executive director to, I mean, ultimately I really don't want to be responsible. I don't want to get that email and that phone call that says, you have a potential exposure at one of your trail days, and not because I don't want to have to deal with, contacting people and blah, 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 but it's because people's lives are at risk, and that's not worth it. So the builders desperately want to have trail days, and they, the builders can do it safely, and I believe that. So please, volunteers, keep your spirits up. Builders, keep your spirits up. We will have trail days again, I promise you. It's just tough these days. And so thank you so much to everyone who's out there with their hand on a shovel. And I don't think we have any real community announcements at that point in time. So with that, I will move to adjourn the meeting after I thank all of our outgoing board members there. Thanks so much to everybody. Big round of applause to everyone who's ever put their hand up for the board, especially those who are put their hand up again after 2 decades of not being on it. It's amazing. So really appreciate everyone that's ever put a hand up to volunteer an hour. We need each and every one of you, especially these days. And so with that, at 8:54, as the chair of the meeting here, I will move to adjourn. And there is a Google Meets / Zoom, if you want to call it that, chat session. I'm going to go grab a beer, and we'll meet you all over there in a couple of moments, assuming Ryan has posted, or somebody has posted the link to that in the Slido link there. Anyway, keep an eye on those. Oh, I see it there in the YouTube comments. And so awesome. It's there as well in the Slido comments. So click that link and we'll see you over there after I go to the bathroom and go to the fridge. And Mr. Bayas, your motion to adjourn as a second is much appreciated.
Awesome job, everyone.